If studying feels busy but your memory disappears in the exam, the issue may not be effort. It may be the kind of practice you are doing. In this tutorial, you will build a realistic 7-day system around active recall, practicing the act of remembering, checking what you missed, and using that evidence to decide what to study next. Rereading a page can make it feel familiar. Highlighted sentences look known, and a solution may make sense as you watch it. But familiarity is a recognition signal, the answer is still in front of you. An exam, conversation, or real task usually asks for recall, where you produce the answer with fewer cues. Try this after any short section. Close your notes. On blank paper, write the main idea, the steps, one example, and one question you still have. Then compare your attempt with the source. This is not a performance. It is a measurement. The blank spaces and errors show where the next study minute has the most value. Active recall is any study action that requires you to retrieve information before seeing the answer. It can be answering a question, solving a problem from scratch, explaining a diagram, making a prediction, or teaching a concept aloud. The important feature is effortful retrieval followed by honest feedback. Memory improves when you practice bringing knowledge back, not only when you put information in. Retrieval practice can strengthen access to what you learned and reveal whether your understanding is usable. It does not replace reading or instruction. First, you need material to learn. Then retrieval helps turn exposure into something you can produce. Start with short retrieval rounds. Read or watch a small unit, then put it away and spend 2 to 5 minutes recalling it. Check your answer, correct it, and try again later. A small honest attempt is more useful than waiting for a perfect 2-hour session that never happens. Take a heading from your notes and convert it into a prompt. Instead of writing photosynthesis uses light energy, ask, what is the purpose of photosynthesis, where does it happen, and what are its main inputs and outputs? A good question makes you generate, compare, explain, or choose, rather than merely recognize a phrase. Use definition questions for essential terms. Use why and how questions for processes. Use compare questions for similar ideas. Use worked problem prompts for calculation or coding subjects. Use blank diagram prompts for structures. And use application questions that ask what would change in a new scenario. Mix these types so your recall is flexible, not scripted. Write an answer key or point back to a reliable source. The goal is not to convince yourself that an answer sounds close. For example, replace understand the causes of inflation with explain 3 causes, distinguish demand pull from cost push, and give 1 consequence of each. Specific prompts make gaps visible and progress easier to track. For each note page, reserve a narrow left column for questions and a wider right column for concise answers. Cover the answer column and test yourself. If you study digitally, a simple document or flashcard set can do the same job. Keep the source linked so every correction has a trustworthy place to return to. The order matters. Give yourself a real attempt before opening the answer. If you look first, you can mistake recognition for knowledge. If you attempt first, even an incomplete answer creates useful feedback. Check, add the missing detail in a different color or line, and repeat the prompt later rather than rereading the whole page immediately. Do not label a topic weak because it feels difficult, and do not label it strong because it feels familiar. Track your retrieval. Mark each prompt green when you answer correctly and clearly, yellow when you need a hint or make a small error, and red when you cannot produce the answer. Your red and yellow prompts are tomorrow's map. When you miss a question, write the topic, what you answered, what was missing, and the reason if you can identify it. Was it a vocabulary gap, a mixed-up sequence, a calculation mistake, or a misunderstood question? This keeps you from repeating a vague plan like study chapter 3 again. You can target the actual failure. A weak topic is not always missing facts. You may know a formula but not know when to choose it. You may know definitions but confuse 2 categories. Your questions should diagnose the layer, recall the fact, perform the procedure, or explain the decision. Different errors need different practice, so name the layer before choosing the fix. Choose one course or one upcoming assessment. Gather the current notes, syllabus, and reliable materials. Make roughly 15 to 25 questions from the first units, not hundreds. Include a few easy anchors and several likely weak areas. Finish with a baseline round, answer without notes and mark green, yellow, or red. This gives day 2 a purpose. Do 2 focused blocks of about 25 minutes. Start each block by answering yesterday's red and yellow prompts without notes. Check carefully, then spend the remaining time repairing one weak concept with the source material. End by creating 2 or 3 new questions from that repair. You are building practice from the exact thing that failed. Review a mixed set rather than one page at a time. Put a definition beside an application problem and a process question beside a comparison question. Mixing makes you choose which knowledge applies instead of following the order of your notes. Keep the session manageable, perhaps 10 old prompts, 5 new prompts, and a short error log review. Pick 2 yellow or red topics and explain each aloud as if teaching a beginner. Do it with no notes first. Then check the source and repeat the explanation with the missing links included. Speaking exposes vague phrases such as "it just happens" or "this affects that." Replace them with the actual mechanism, sequence, evidence, or condition. If you will solve problems from a blank start. If you will write short answers under a modest time limit. If you will label a diagram, draw and label it. Flashcards are useful, but transfer improves when some practice resembles the real demand. Review errors after the attempt, not during it. Make a short list of the 5 prompts that still fail or require hints. For each one, return to the source, make a clearer answer, and create one related application question. Then retest both. Do not spend the whole day polishing green cards for reassurance. The red list is uncomfortable because it is honest, and that is exactly why it is valuable. Run a mixed cumulative review with no notes. Include old questions, new questions, explanations, and at least one task in assessment format. Score it with your answer keys. Compare this result with day 1's baseline, then choose only the unresolved red and yellow items for the next cycle. The system repeats, but the weak spots should become more precise. Here is a flexible daily structure. Spend 5 minutes choosing prompts from your color marks. Spend 15 to 20 minutes retrieving without notes. Spend 10 minutes checking and correcting. Spend 10 to 20 minutes repairing 1 or 2 weak topics. Finally, spend 5 minutes making tomorrow's questions. If you have less time, do one retrieval round rather than skipping the habit. Reviewing immediately has a place, especially after a correction. But returning after a delay asks your memory to work again. Spread prompts across days and mix older material into current study. You do not need a complicated schedule at first. Your green, yellow, and red labels can guide it: red sooner, yellow soon, green later but not never. Rereading is not useless. Use it to get oriented, clarify a confusing passage, verify a correction, or gather information before you test yourself. The shift is that rereading becomes preparation or repair, not the only evidence that learning happened. Do not turn every sentence into a card. Prioritize core concepts, common confusions, procedures, examples, and likely assessment demands. If the deck becomes overwhelming, divide it by unit and use the error log to select. A smaller collection that you retrieve from repeatedly beats a giant collection you avoid because it feels impossible to finish. A question should not simply hide one word in a sentence if the goal is understanding. Instead of "what year did this happen?" also ask "why did it matter and what changed because of it?" Instead of copying a solution, cover it and solve from the first step. The more your prompt resembles a real decision, explanation, or task, the more useful the practice becomes. Retrieval without feedback can rehearse an error. Feedback without retrieval can feel easy but reveal little. Pair them. Attempt first, check against a reliable answer, correct precisely, and return later. Be especially careful with subjects where one early error changes the rest of a solution. Mark the first wrong step, not only the final answer. Tera can support your active recall workflow by helping you turn your own notes into clear practice questions, generate varied examples, or quiz you one prompt at a time. Keep your course materials and answer keys as the authority. Ask for explanations in a level you can understand, then verify important details with your teacher, textbook, or approved source. A useful request names the topic, your level, and the response format. For example, turn these biology notes into 10 active recall questions, include 3 why questions and 2 application questions, but do not show answers until I attempt each one. Or, quiz me on this process, tell me only whether my answer is incomplete, then ask a follow-up question. Do not paste sensitive information, and follow your school's rules for outside assistance. Treat generated material as a draft that you inspect. If an explanation conflicts with your course source, pause and verify instead of memorizing it. The productive role is support for questioning, practice, and feedback, while you remain responsible for what you submit and learn. The complete system is simple. Turn notes into questions. Attempt answers before looking. Mark green, yellow, and red. Repair specific mistakes. Mix older prompts with new ones. Practice in the format you will need. Then run a cumulative check and start the next week from the evidence. You do not need perfect motivation. You need a repeatable loop. Choose one page of notes today. Write 5 questions that require an answer, not recognition. Close the page and try them. Check every answer. Circle the weakest one, repair it, and schedule it for tomorrow. That small cycle is active recall in practice. Tera can help you draft questions when available, but your retrieval and verification are what make the learning yours.